Good morning. My name is Peter Zambini. I'm from South Australia, and this is my office here. I'm an advocate representing currently 174 victimised whistleblowers. Doing this video is a public awareness campaign considering the failings of the current Prime Minister, the Honourable Scott Morris, and three of his cabinet ministers, Greg Hunt and the Attorney General Christine Porter. This also applies to the South Australian Government, Stephen Marshall, Vicky Chapman, the Attorney General and Deputy Premier, and the Health Minister, Stephen Wade, and Corey Wingard, the South Australian Police Minister, who I currently contacted in regard to this issue, which exposes people in public office for impropriety, corruption, abuse of power, and other misconducts which the web page of which I'm bringing on will make more clearly. I appreciate that you're listening. If you have any concerns you'd like to express, I most welcome any suggestions at a later point. Let me start by pointing out this is my computer here, and just like anybody in an office, this is all the tools that you need. I will now, this confirms the date of that we're doing it, because I'll just flick over here and we're going to go into my email servers. Now it'll come on, and as you can see here from the top, if I've sent an email and there's to the Premier, and it says thank you for contacting it, and that was on the Wednesday of this week, which was about the 11th. He hasn't responded, even though I've given him a deadline. The people that you're seeing on the screen are the very people that have been named and shamed for the reasons I stated earlier. Now, this is in the send column. Now, if I was to scroll down, right down the bottom, this goes back 4 years to 2015. I think this matter obviously needs to be in the public forum, and this is our attempt to get it there, because the failings of the media, as well as the other authorities which have mentioned, and you can see on the screen. Now you see the name there, and consistently you will see an update, whistleblower, which is clear, and this is also a matter for both the Federal Parliament and originally always meant for the public forum, and that's why we're doing this video. What is important about doing the video today on the 16th of February, that I sent certain correspondence to the Prime Minister and also the South Australian Government, and also their oppositions, Mr Shorten and Mr Peter Malowski here in South Australia. They choose not to respond because they put themselves in a catch-22, but they're left holding the bags because it's their own office records that incriminates them, and this matter needs to be scrutinised independently by members of the state and federal parliament, leading hopefully to a royal commission which will hold people to account, but more importantly bring in the reforms. Now you ask me maybe, well, why should these people do anything? And the reason would be, it's because primarily the real victims here are the 25 million Australians like ourselves, and the 14 million so-called taxpayers like ourselves. Secondly, the victims are the people like ourselves who have spoken out exposing these matters and debacle, and I'm here to represent them as an advocate. Now, apart from the emails that you've seen there, I'd like to confirm that I also, when I send an email, I phone the actual officers, which is listed on their automatic replies, and ask them to confirm that they've received the email. Could they please send it to the correspondence unit, maybe Chief of Staff, so that they can prioritise the emails and sting into action, which they have not done for 5 years. Excuse me if I'm pausing. And I also tell them, they ask for their name, which I've got written. That's the reception people, or whoever they are. Like in Canberra, when I sent the the Prime Minister the correspondence. I rang up Canberra's ministerial unit, and I'm fairly well known there by a person named Sam, and I'm sure she carries on and forwards those information. This week it was Craig, the Prime Minister's ministerial unit, with South Australia, obviously the Premier's office. It was Carlay, and I'm sure that she'd passed it on, but the failings happen past that point when it goes to the office for the reasons we've previously stated. And Matt is in Peter Malowski, the South Australian Labor opposition, who has also equally dereliction of duty and not acted in the public or national interest, just their own political interest. And as you can see here, if you divide all that's on the screen, it's for the preparation of the web page. Now obviously I'll be putting a picture there. This is just a mud map, and each one's got public record, state records and federal. Now public record is, let's say, the media or the ordinary members of the public. Now these have been turned into USBs, so when you look at our web page, pay attention to this video as an introduction, and that way it may assist you to better understand. You press any of those PDFs and it will be apparently clear in writing a correspondence unit acknowledgement from that department combined with the phone calls to say this matter is real, it's not a fabrication or conspiracy type thing. So in finalising, we're going to move to the table as a presentation so you can see more clearly the matter. Thank you for listening, and please, if you could forward any concerns, not only to me but to any MP, to get this matter concerned, because it is a criminality matter, it is a class action, and this matter should be dealt with 5 years ago. And like everything, I suppose, a whistleblower would get less representation than a convicted criminal, a pedophile. It is only treated with contempt, as previously, as you know, with the Oakton's debacle here in South Australia. It wasn't the government or the agency that came forward. Unfortunately, it was the families who brought it along the Independent Commission of Corruption, and then later obviously it was found that this was a national problem, and now just this year they're having a Royal Commission into the aged care facilities, into the banks and into pedophiles. So clearly there is serious problems in this country and they've not been dealt with, and this is just another tip of the iceberg that takes away from the hard-working Australians, and basically the government is not doing their job, and the primary job of any government is to protect its citizens. Well, in this case it hasn't protected one of the people that I'm representing, including myself, who's fallen through the gaps 5 years ago when they acted with impropriety to shut me down, and also to sideline the issue, which is to be made clear. And thank you for listening, and please contact me, but more so contact the authorities and get out there and have your voices heard, not only in Parliament, in the media, but the Royal